Welcome everybody to this edition of Common Use Spurs TV. In today's episode, we are looking at how we expect Ange Postecoglou to set up going forward in terms of tactics, formation, and personnel. With me to do that is Chuma, and Chuma will join us on the other side. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Hey, welcome back to Come On Spurs TV, where we talk about everything Spurs. Like I said in the intro, we'll be looking at Spurs tactics under Ange Postecoglou, how he would set up the personnel behind it, and obviously how he's going to adapt to the Premier League. With me today is Chuma. Chuma, welcome. How are you?
Oh yeah, super good. I just thought of a different headline for it. I'm a fan. I used to be a fan of WWF, now WWE wrestling. So if you remember The Rock, so can you smell what Ange is cooking? So, Can you smell what the Ange is cooking?
Ange is cooking. That's a good one. Yes. Yeah. So
So
it'll be good to hear a comment in the comment section below. If you're here,
you
new here,
know,
correct. If you haven't been here before, like I said, subscribe, of course. And if you've been here, leave your comments and like this channel as well. And if you want to get notified anytime we go live or issue a video, please click on the bell button to get notified. Yes, let's get right into it. Right. So, what's Ange cooking?
well, we're not quite sure yet, but he hasn't deviated from what he was doing in Celtic. Is very similar to, the usual thing. As soon as we get a manager, I dive inside. So I've been diving inside Celtic stuff. I've been diving inside Yokohama Marinos stuff. I've watched so many games. It's unbelievable. But he never strays from a particular pattern. I think since Australia, he's always played the same formation or little tweaks here and there. But like you said, you and I spoke off air, where he said it's not necessarily about the formation. It's more or less the mindset of the players and knowing that they have a certain role to play. They have to attack. They have to score. They
That's
have to
yeah.
win.
That's why. I know that you had this interview this week with Asian supporter of Spurs, and where one young man asked him about his formation and what sort of tactics that he sort of tends to work with, and he said, "Well, which is what we just said, but essentially it's probably a base of a 4-3-3, if you like, but however adaptable depending on the situation, which sort of brings us to this age-old question. I mean, we'll look at the personnel in a minute, right? And then, but before that, people are always asking this, or sort of having this, do you want to call it issue or comment underline everything. Okay, we haven't seen what he's going to do yet. I mean, because he doesn't have any Premier League experience to sort of look at, right? And the fact that he hasn't got that Premier League experience, the quality of the opponents that he's played in the past is totally different from what you face in the Premier League, right? And how will that transition, right? Okay, we've had this situation where, I mean, of course, you remember that Yokohama Mariners team match against City in preseason a few years back, and how he gave City a good run for their money, even with so-called limited players, if you like. But in terms of being able to deploy tactics, it showed very clearly that, I mean, with a good system, you can stand up against any really, really good team, And now that you even have better players to do that, I think you're better suited to even achieving those goals that you want to achieve for your team. You also point to the fact that, I mean, when he played Celtic against Real Madrid at the top in the Champions League, even though they lost, if they had better players, they might have been 5-0 ahead within the first few minutes. Again, all points us to how things are going to pan out. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's a good pace to be hopeful from, if you like, And again, we'll see how it all pans out. So, I mean, what do you reckon?
Yeah, No, it's so in terms of formations, he's stuck to back four, either two midfielders or three, and then another. So if he plays the 4-2-3-1, which if most of the fans understand what that is, it's you have four defenders, two midfielders just in front of the four defenders, three midfielders ahead of them, and one attacker. So a 4-2-3-1 is a base foundation formation that
Mm-hmm.
could also look like a 4-3-3. It could also look like a 3-4-2-1. It's just based on how the manager chooses to play when he's on the ball and off the ball.
Yeah.
But basically, a 4-2-3-1 is not too dissimilar to a 4-3-3. It's just based on how the manager wants to play it.
Which sort of brings us to this thing, and I'll explain in just a little while. Under Conte, we played, a back three all the time, right? Stellini will do the same thing. But one particular match, I think was this Stellini or was it Stellini that played that match, or it was Stellini when he tried to play a back four, right? And we got hammered.
Against Newcastle, the Newcastle match.
So
yeah,
that
the infamous Newcastle match.
Yeah, that was big disaster, and it got sacked after that, But we also had, I think, one match also when Mason also played a back four, But they haven't looked comfortable playing the back four. So with the personnel that he has now, how adaptable are we going to be playing a back four? Haven't played the back three for so long, over the course of the last couple of seasons, do we have players within that formation, or as part of those potential players we've got? We're looking at. There's so many rumors about who and who are going to come in, who's leaving, and all that stuff. So we're not really settled about what the defense was going to look like, And also bearing in mind that this potential new defense won't have played together before, So it will be everyone's like fresh, if you like. If we go by, the rumors and who's going to stay and who's going to leave, because clearly Romero is staying, right? That looks like he's staying, right? So that those would look like potentially that's will form the base of that back four, back five, or however you want to call it, right? And everyone, so of course, and Emerson Royal as well, and then you got Porro, and you got Davis. You also have Perisic. We don't know if Perisic is staying or not. We don't know if Sassion is going to stay or not. So, but you want to say who of that lot are most likely to start. You probably think maybe Romero will be the dead set, perhaps Porro and Emerson. It's amazing how you might have Emerson playing the right side of centre back and Porro Porro playing full back role, And on the other side, I don't know who we're going to have there on that side. So what do you reckon?
So one of the things I feel, this is just my feeling, it wasn't a case of players not knowing how to play a back four, because you have to understand these players have played in all these formations and using all these different tactics all their lives. The problem is when you don't practice a particular thing for a period of time. And that Newcastle match was an omni shambles, a complete omni shambles, because the players had never practiced playing in a back four. Neither did they know how to position themselves. And then you had this whole thing where, a lot of the media were gunning for Pedro Porro, saying, "Oh my God, he's clumsy, he's this." But I have lived long enough and supported Spurs long enough to remember these same media were the same ones that were throwing out the same part of dirt on Kyle Walker and Danny Rose. Danny Rose was also a midfield player who was converted to a fullback. Kyle Walker was a fullback that just loved bombing forward. But yet, somewhere, somehow, they became the most celebrated fullback duo under Pochettino. Why is this? It's a manager that knows how to play a particular formation and knows how to utilize the strengths of his players and to find a way to mitigate for their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that's all that's going to happen now. So in order to say that, oh, well, this Spurs squad were not suited, I don't really think so. Ben Davies is an excellent left back, in my opinion. I think Ben Davies is a very good left back. He's not just an attacking left back. And now you have Ange Postecoglou, who plays a system where his left back inverts into midfield to become one of those two players. So that could suit Davies. I'm not saying Davies is definitely staying, but it could suit him more. Romero, of course, we all know Spurs are trying to buy a defensive partner for Romero now. So everyone's thinking, why shouldn't we buy two? No, you need one sure starter like Romero. You need two people that right and left center back that are pure, that are going to play. And that's what I think Spurs are angling for. The Spurs are also going to get backup or deputies, either from outside or promote within. Hence the reason the preseason training. But I think, all honesty, I think Ange Postecoglou is taking a very, very good look at these guys, and whoever he retains will be able to do a job. And I think his system, everyone's going, oh well, they keep looking to I read reports about the Madrid game you're talking about, Celtic Madrid, and I said to myself, if that was Kane and Son up front, that's 7-0. There were 7 chances, 7 clear chances, 7, not 5, 7.
Wow.
And they did not execute. And of course, Madrid are Madrid. But then Madrid are also another, like, in the conundrum of our arguments and debates. I've come out sometimes, and some people think I'm anti Ancelotti and anti Zidane as coaches. I am not anti them. I just feel that they are not tactical managers, but they get the job done. And that's all that matters in football.
Because they got the personnel to do the job, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you know what's so funny? Everyone goes on. When I went on my thing about Ancelotti, how Ancelotti has, I credit him as being one of the most intelligent managers of all time. He comes into situations that other managers have created, and he doesn't rock the boat, but he manages the men very well. He's coming to Chelsea after Mourinho. He's coming to PSG after Emery, I think it was, or was it pre-Emery? He's come to Real Madrid after Zidane. He just everything just works out for him, and he's an excellent man manager, and he's also good tactically, but he doesn't need to do all that stuff. And proof in the pudding was he took over Everton. What did he do at Everton? There was no solid base for him at Everton. So he proved my point. But a lot of people come and say, oh, you're just that he's the winningest coach in the Champions League. I say I get it. But he came to Everton. We keep talking about, well, if a coach comes to a place and there's nothing there, what can he do? He came to Everton. But with Ange Postecoglou, I think Spurs right now, defensively, I don't think we have everyone he needs. They're still trying to buy players. But I think with the way his formation works, I think he can hold his own. If Fulham can hold their own, if Newcastle can hold their own, with those players they had last year, I don't think Ange Postecoglou will struggle.
Can hold their own as well, right?
Say that again.
I said if Brighton could hold their own as well.
If Brighton could hold their own with, if you told anybody, Lewis Dunk and Webster, they had no idea who those players were. Yeah. Nobody knew who they were. Like,
I didn't the World Cup. I really didn't know him.
You know what I mean? Levi Colwill, who is playing for England under 21s in the final. He's made his name. He was a loanee from Chelsea. People who knew football know who Levi Colwill is. But until he played under De Zerbi, even Chelsea were not going to keep him. But all of a sudden, he looks... Why? A coach that knows what he's doing and he deploys a certain kind of football. So, early days with Ange, we haven't seen him play. I'm not going to hype him. But I have expectations.
Beautiful. I mean, it's okay. So in terms of the personnel that we have, right? So for the defense, I think we've had one episode where we talked about the midfield and conundrum and all that, and of course the attack. I mean, given that we talk about the defense, right? It's just really now for all of that expression to see how the whole thing blends, if you like, into, like you said, if it's what Ange cooking is basically. So,
yeah, exactly.
How's it going to blend everyone together? Tell me. I mean, if you...
Well, the thing is, like, when he was in Yokohama, their first couple of games, and I think it's a similar thing to what even our former manager who's moved over to the Chelsea, who cannot be named now since he's moved over to Chelsea.
Oh God.
What he did, the Argentine, we shall henceforth call him the Argentine. What the Argentine did when he came, 4-2-3-1 is a very nice base system. It gets everybody used to what they are meant to do. And then from a 4-2-3-1, you can evolve or transition to a 4-3-3 easier.
Mm-hmm.
So he did that at Yokohama when he first got in. He didn't just jump straight into that 4-3-3. He jumped into a 4-2-3-1 and then slowly started as they got better, as they started understanding his methods more, it turned. So I don't know if he's going to attempt something similar at Spurs, but I think it was down to the quality of the players because when he came to Celtic, he jumped into his 4-3-3 with the pivot defensive midfield player. He jumped straight into that. I think because they were higher quality players than he had in Japan. So
Mm-hmm.
now you look at the Premier League, and Tottenham have higher quality players than he had at Celtic. All due respect to Celtic, they have some very good players. Spurs have very good players that are playing at the level
I
above.
know when people say all due respect, it means
No,
that.
no, yeah. All due respect means no respect, but no. In this case, I'm someone who I appreciate Celtic Football
Absolutely.
Club a lot. I really, really appreciate them. They've had some players I've really loved over the years, Henrik Larsson and the rest of them. So I have a soft spot for Celtic. Um, but yeah, but it's higher quality players at Spurs, and you look at that Spurs squad right now. I think Spurs' midfield are better, especially with the addition of Madison, than Spurs' defense are looking right now. Our attack, I don't think in terms of the attack, we're worried too much, apart from, the obvious media thing of Harry Kane. Will he stay? Will he go? We've done a show about that earlier. For those who haven't watched, just go into the channel and have a look at that. Will Harry Kane stay or will he go? But beyond that, our forward line is looking pretty good, and midfield as well. But it's the defense that everyone is looking at and saying who stays. Porro, Porro, we've paid for now. I think we paid the full amount last week for his complete signature. Um, Emerson Royale. You see, so now we've come to the point where myself and the great Optimus who's on the show, we've had our disagreements over thing. But if anyone can go back and draw back what I said, they will see that I said it is better for him to play as a right back than a wing back, and that he would be more comfortable in right back formation than he would be as a wing back. And I don't know about anybody else, but I've watched one or two videos and I think he's comfortable. I think he's comfortable. And this is exactly how I saw him when he was at Betis, playing as a right back. He's not the greatest, he's not most skillful, but he just does that job. And defensively, he's sound. He's sound. We all saw that physically and defensively, Emerson Royale is sound. So another year in England, he's speaking more English now. You can tell he's one of the guys who everybody loves. I expect to say good. And Poro as well. Poro is a very infectious guy. You can see him. And Poro, like Bisuma, does a lot of fitness work outside of training. And I appreciate that as well. And then Spence is another one that we haven't seen much of.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about Jet Spence as well. I mean,
yeah,
oh, Commander.
Jet Spence is back in the thing he's training. I don't know if they might loan him. I think they might. I don't think they would sell him. I think they might loan him because Poro and Emerson, between the two of them, I don't think he's going to get looking. But I'm willing to be, surprised to see what Ange is going to do. But I think they will loan Spence to a Premier League club with the intent that he comes back another year and plays.
One player we haven't mentioned. I mean, in this whole discussion on the left hand side has been Destiny Udogie.
Oh,
And he did really well last year in the Serie A, for Udinese because we bought him and loaned him straight back. And chances are that he was going to come back and hopefully hit the ground running. So that's another talent. That we I think we'll
100%.
good advantage of. So yeah, it's all looking good because he can. Apparently, I'm not sure if he's a wing back or left back. Or maybe he can adapt to both roles. What do you know? What do you know of Destiny? You watch
He's,
a lot of La
Yeah,
Liga.
I've watched. I've
What's
watched Destiny. Yeah, I've watched Destiny. He started at Verona. I saw him first at Verona as a kid. He was really young then, and then he moved on to thing. So we have, you and I have followed a lot of Spurs blogs and podcasts. We have the Fighting Cock.
Yeah.
I commented on a future Spurs lineup on one of their Twitter pages, and the Fighting Cock, who I respect and I love all those guys, they came and said, "Well, you're talking about a young boy who hasn't played." Who the guy actually said, whoever replied me from the Fighting Cock said, someone who was on the bench for the Italian under 21s, and I was thinking, what's that got to do with anything? He was on the bench for the Italian under 21s. This boy has been playing full time big man football for over 3 seasons.
Big man football.
You know, exactly. It's like it's grown up football. So a coach in the under 21 said, "I'm going to bench you." It's the same thing with Skip. So people are disrespecting Skip because Angel Gomez is starting for the England, and Angel Gomez is amazing. He plays for Lille, killing it at defensive midfield. Because the guy is playing well, Skip isn't playing. But because of that, I say, yeah, of course, how can Skip play? Skip is trash. I'm like, no, this guy is playing well. He deserves the spot. Udogi made some mistakes in the first couple of games. I think against France, I think he made a mistake that led to a goal for France and all that. So you can understand the coach dropping him. But go and speak to Milan, go and speak to Juventus. Teams are trying to buy him or get him on loan from Spurs right now. This is not a rumor. This is facts. They've spoken to his agent. So his agent had to get assurances that, look, is this boy going to play? I think he's going to play as a left back. But the way Ange plays his left backs are different from the way regular people play. It's that whole inverting your left back, similar to what Pep did with Zinchenko. Arteta does with Zinchenko now. Cancelo, where they come into midfield, where you know they are good attackers and good. Udogi can play midfield, kind of. He's almost that kind of guy. He has a build and he's very direct. So I see him playing. I see him playing on that left side. I think time's up for Ryan Sessegnon. I'm willing to be surprised on him as well. I think time's up. We've given him a lot of shots. The only way I see Ryan Sessegnon probably staying is people have to remember Ryan Sessegnon played left wing as well when he was at Fulham. He played as a left winger. And when Poch first played him for Tottenham, when he first joined, he actually played left midfield in a Champions League game, and Son was playing striker, and he played very, very well. So could that be a possible bench position for him? Maybe, maybe not. But I can see Ryan Sessegnon moving on, and I can see Sergio Reguilon moving on as well.
That's somebody else we have not even talked about as well. You know?
Yeah, he's been in training. He looks sharp. He's smiling. He's happy. I don't know what the manager is going to assess him as, but I heard already that there are offers for him coming from Spain, and the club might just take those offers. Not because he's not a good player, but he's quite injury prone as well. So, so it end up being that, you could end up having Udogi, Ben Davies, and should Spurs buy Van de Ven from Wolfsburg, he plays as a left back as well sometimes. So
That's
you have options.
plenty of options to choose from in that respect. Up front, I know we've always said that Spurs don't necessarily have a challenge up front. So of course we bring this whole Kane thing of Kane not going and Kane not staying into the picture, but still leaves us with still got Son, we have Brian Hill, we have Richarlison, we've got Tulusevski. Who else have we got there?
Mano Solomon has just joined, or he will join. We'll be joining next week officially, and I think we're still looking for more. I think we're still probably looking for another attacker. I think we're probably looking for another attacker, another winger, or someone who can play both.
So because I know we let Arnaud Danjuma go, which for me was a bit of unfortunate because given how much grief we gave Everton to get him on, and where he started him, and just sort of, I think I was very, very poor from our side. On how you treat someone who, anyway, we don't want to go into that too much because it's you're going to say something. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, ironically, this is just me. Ironically, it's because I think with everything that transpired and the club having to let him go, if Danjuma was a signing for Spurs, I think he's getting into this Ange Postecoglou side. It's because he was a loan signing, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, you have to pay 27 million." But like, no, we can save that money. But if he had already been signed by Spurs, and he was already a pure signing, let's say like Porro, we'd already paid and said, "Okay, we'll collect him." I'm telling you that I think Danjuma would have done a perfect job for Postecoglou, playing one of those wide positions, possibly off the left,
Yeah.
allowing Son or playing as a striker if Postecoglou wanted it as well. But yeah, Danjuma left. Brian Hill, I still think the jury is out on Brian Hill. Um, though I've seen him in the training videos, once again, he's a fit boy. You saw that with Conte as well. When they did those suicide runs, pitch to pitch. It was him and Pape Matessar that had the best engines. They didn't drop. He's got that thing in him. And
And he's
I would
won
absolutely love,
Europa Cup as well, hasn't he? I mean, it's got to,
yeah,
it's
I would,
severe. Hey.
I would love Brian Hill to do well. But he's another one where there might be offers on the table for him. And Spurs are looking at, if we got offers for you, we might let you leave and stuff. But in terms of squad depth, I think up front they're quite good. Like if you go by Solomon is deputizing for Son, so left side. Um, Kane has got Richarlison. Right side, Kulusevski has got Brian Hill. I think it works out two per position, which is what you aim for,
Yeah.
you know, in a club. I think that way they're much better. Defensively is where Tottenham, I think that's where we need to really focus on. We've been saying this for seasons. You need to have centre backs that you trust and you like. You need to have full backs as well. And we've got the full backs, even though some of them are wing backs. But there's coaching. This is where, like I said, this is where coaching comes in. This is where the previous, coaching setup, how they address things like, oh, I got a player, I didn't want this player, and all those things are just, to me like, no, just coach and try and see what you can do. That's where it comes in. And I think Ange,
Yeah, comments.
like I said, we look forward to Ange. We don't want to hype Ange too much.
I will pay you 15 million for. Anyway, that's another matter entirely, you know?
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's always a pleasure having you, Chuma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Overall, I mean, chances of Tottenham this season. I mean, I know we're going to come back to saying all of this. All of this is pretty much speculation at this stage because we don't know how things are going to pan out. But I'd like us to come back in December and see how things are going, and then maybe do another one in April and say, okay, oh wow, we've done really well, and then obviously close season, I think, oh wow, that sort of thing. Yes, we'll see. We want to see how things go. I just get this. Maybe I'm the eternal optimist anyway.
Optimus Prime indeed.
I always want to be positive about everything. So I mean, I think Postecoglou will surprise a lot of people, and I think we'll do really really well this season. I hope that he sort of hit the ground running and we achieve all those fantastic objectives, possibly even challenge as well. Who knows? In its first season, that will be phenomenal. Phenomenal. Given that we don't have Champions League football or European football this season, a lot of players will be playing plenty of things over the course of the week. And we'll have, even if we had to rotate the squad, it wouldn't be under pressure. It would only be cup competitions that we had to play. So it's looking positive, I guess. Final word from you.
I share your sentiments. I always feel that I'm not a fan of internationals, and I've never been a fan of international football. I always felt it denied coaches the time to train their players. And then also, if you're not in Champions League or possibly Europa, what's the point of being in Europe? It's giving us more time, and time is the most important thing when it comes to trying to build a system or a method with your players.
Yeah.
And I think Spurs this season, you're a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. I'm going to give a shout out. Mark is an Arsenal fan, so boo to Arsenal. But Mark and I were talking about this the other day, and Mark was like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, I said, "Look, top six and a cup run." I said, "But the thing I love about this man is he sets no limits, so anything can happen." But I think we return to the top six because the football will change. And if the football changes and they start winning, it becomes quite infectious to those players. And the fact that all they're doing is training and playing, and not Champions League travel, this and that, and no, 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 none of that. I think the best thing that ever happened to Ange Postecoglou was Spurs not qualifying for Europe. I think he's giving him enough time to like bed
Yeah.
his players.
It gives us the
And that's
opportunity
it.
for a fresh start as well. For
Indeed.
so on a clean slate, so no pressure. You can't say that someone won something last year, and you have to come back and win. So it's uh,
Exactly.
yeah, beautiful. It's good place to start. Thank you so much. Guys,
Okay.
leave your comment in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and like as well. And if you want to get notified anytime we go live, please click on the bell button to get notified. In the meantime, come on, you
Come on,
Spurs.
you Spurs.